My name is Abigail. It was a typical Tuesday afternoon at the hospital where I work as a physician assistant. I was knee-deep in the usual outpatient follow-ups, medication adjustments, and blood pressure checks. Around 2 p.m. A nurse popped into my office and said, "Got a walk-in who needs a quick BP check and a clearance form signed. Can you squeeze her in?" I replied, "Sure." Room 3. I grabbed the tablet with the intake forms and glanced at the name. It was a common one, nothing that rang any alarm bells. As I walked into the exam room, my eyes were still on the screen. "Hi, I'm just going to check your blood pressure real quick," I said. When I looked up, my world stopped. Sitting on the exam table was Ethan. Not the Ethan I remembered from 6 years ago. He was softer around the edges, more tired, and older. He looked like a man shaped by the years we hadn't shared. He froze, as if he'd walked into a ghost. My professional instincts kicked in before the emotions could catch up. I kept my face neutral and my voice calm. "Good afternoon. Let's get your vitals," I said. His voice, when he finally found it, was small. I didn't know you worked here," I replied, 6 years now. Just then, the nurse walked in, cheerful and oblivious. She started wrapping the cuff around his arm and asked, "You two know each other?" I met Ethan's eyes and let the silence stretch until it was uncomfortable. "We used to," I finally said. The nurse sensed something was off and quickly finished the reading. 120/78. All good. I'll give you 2 a minute. And with that, she closed the door. The room suddenly felt smaller. Ethan said quietly, "I had no idea. My primary care office is upstairs. They sent me down here for the form." I said, "It's fine. I can sign off on it." Then he asked, "How have you been?" I almost laughed at the absurdity of the question after 6 years of silence. "Good," I said. "You?" He hesitated and then said, "I'm married. I have a daughter." Something warm and unexpected passed through me. "Congratulations," I said, and I truly meant it. He looked like he wanted to say more. Guilt flickered across his face, a familiar sight. "I'm sorry," he finally said, "for how things ended and for how I treated you." I set the tablet down. Okay, that was all. It wasn't forgiveness, just an acknowledgement. He continued, "I've thought about reaching out so many times. I should have apologized properly." I replied, "You're doing it now." He swallowed hard and asked, "Would you maybe want to get coffee just to talk?" I should have said no, but curiosity got the better of me. "There's a cafe in the lobby," I said after a moment. 20 minutes. His eyes softened. "Thank you." I didn't thank him back. We sat across from each other in the hospital cafe, like two strangers who once shared a life. The place smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. Conversations buzzed around us, doctors on break, families waiting, phones ringing. Life went on without a care for the moment unfolding at our small table. Ethan didn't touch his coffee, and neither did I. "I don't even know where to start," he said, rubbing his hands together as if he was cold. I replied, "Then don't. You asked for 20 minutes. Use them." He took a deep breath, the kind people take before taking a leap. "It started about 2 months after my promotion," he said. "With my ex-girlfriend, the one from before we got married. It wasn't a shock, it was like the last piece of a puzzle clicking into place." He went on, "She was working with one of our partner teams. We reconnected at an industry event. At first, it was just talking, then texting, and then I started making excuses. I stayed quiet when you asked where I was and when you were worried. It scared me because I knew you already sensed it. So instead of stopping, I got defensive and made you feel like you were the problem." I said calmly, "You did." He nodded. "I know. That night, the 4 a.m. fight. I'd been with her. I could have told you the truth. I should have, but I panicked. And when you asked if there was someone else, I doubled down on the lie. He looked at me intently. You were right about everything. I didn't feel vindicated, I just felt tired. Why tell me now? I asked. 6 years later. He said, because my wife doesn't know the real story. She knows our marriage ended, but she doesn't know why. I leaned back in my chair. Does she know you cheated? He shook his head. I told her we grew apart. I stared at him for a long time. You should tell her. His face tightened. That would destroy everything. I said quietly, what would destroy everything is her finding out some other way. Silence filled the space between us. He whispered, I have a daughter now, and the idea of someone treating her the way I treated you makes me sick. I said, then do better. Start with honesty. He wiped his eyes, embarrassed by the tears. Do you hate me? He asked. I thought about it carefully. No, I said. I did for a while, but now I just don't feel anything. That seemed to hurt him more than if I had been angry. I stood up and said, I should get back to work. Thank you for telling me, but I don't owe you forgiveness, and you don't need it to move on. He nodded slowly. I hope you're happy. I replied, I am, in a way I never was before. I walked away, leaving my untouched coffee on the table, and went back to my patients. That afternoon, I signed 4 more forms, gave advice, and listened to my patients. Life went on as usual. That conversation was 8 months ago. I haven't seen Ethan since, and I don't expect to. The hospital is big enough for 2 people to avoid each other. It feels right. We've closed that chapter. A few weeks after our conversation, my friend Lily told me something I didn't expect. He told his wife, about the affair, about everything, she said carefully. I was standing in my kitchen, my dog waiting patiently for his dinner, the phone pressed between my shoulder and ear. And? I asked. She replied, she took it hard. They're in counseling trying to work through it. I felt a sense of acceptance. I hope they figure it out, I said, and I meant it. I didn't want his life to fall apart. I just wanted peace for myself. Let me take you back 6 years. I was 30 then, and I thought my life was settled. I was married to Ethan. We met in college. He studied business, and I was pre-med. Our professors used to joke that we'd get married someday, and they were right. We tied the knot shortly after I finished my PA program. Our first 2 years of marriage were good. We had our normal arguments about dishes, money, and whose turn it was to walk our dog, Max. We talked about buying a house and having kids someday, imagining our life unfolding in an orderly way. Then Ethan got promoted. He got a better title, a bigger team, and longer hours. I was genuinely proud of him and encouraged him to take the promotion, even when he hesitated. I thought supporting my partner meant helping him grow. Little did I know it would change him. At first, the changes were subtle. There were after-work drinks, late dinners, and weekend team events. Conferences suddenly required overnight stays. I tried to adjust and made excuses for him. I told myself that growth comes at a cost. But around the 3rd month, something shifted. He stopped coming home at reasonable hours. Sometimes it was midnight, and sometimes even later. He smelled like alcohol and cigarettes, even though he'd never smoked before. His phone was always face down, and he changed the password from the one we'd shared for years. He took calls in the other room and closed the door. When I asked about his day, his answers were vague. Just work stuff. You wouldn't get it. It's complicated, he'd say. I tried to talk to him gently. I feel like we don't really talk anymore. It's like you're somewhere else, I once said. He snapped back, I'm working hard. Sorry if that's not enough for you. I replied, that's not what I meant. I just miss you. I miss us. That's when he called me needy. The word hit me hard, lodging deep in my chest. This pattern continued for months. I'd stay up waiting for him. He'd come home after midnight, brush past me without a word, and lock himself in the bathroom for 20 minutes. Some nights he didn't come home at all. He'd text at 2 a.m. saying he was too drunk to drive and crashing at a co-worker's place. I wanted to believe him, but my gut told me otherwise. The night our marriage ended was a Friday. He texted at 11 p.m. saying he was running late. Then there was nothing. No response to my calls or texts. 5 hours of silence. When he finally walked in at 3:47 a.m. I was still awake, sitting on the couch, my heart pounding and my mind racing. "Where were you?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. "Out with the team." "I told you," he replied. "You said you'd be late, not gone all night," I said. He scoffed, "It's not all night. It's barely 4. You couldn't text or call?" "My phone died." I asked, "You couldn't borrow one?" That's when his face hardened. "Oh my God, here we go. Stop interrogating me." I said quietly, "I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking why my husband didn't come home or communicate for 5 hours. He snapped, "Because I was having fun. I actually enjoy myself when I'm not here dealing with this." I asked, "To what? To me being worried about you?" He laughed bitterly. "Worried? You mean controlling?" Something inside me went still. "Is there someone else?" I asked. The air in the room changed. His face twisted with rage and disgust. "You're accusing me of cheating now." "I'm asking," I said. "No," he yelled. "You're acting like you own me. Like I owe you an explanation for every second of my life. Stop interrogating me. You don't own me." That was it. I didn't scream or cry. There was just a quiet, devastating clarity. "You're right," I said. "I don't own you. I never wanted to. I just wanted a partner who cared enough to come home." He walked past me towards the bedroom, and I knew it was over. While he was locked in the bathroom, I packed a duffel bag with clothes, my laptop, work badge, and keys. I didn't leave a note. I walked out before the sun fully rose. That was the last time we lived together. I spent that first night on Lily's couch. I lay there with my eyes closed, listening to the unfamiliar sounds of her apartment, the hum of the fridge, the distant traffic, and the quiet breathing of a space that wasn't mine. My phone buzzed non-stop on the coffee table, but I didn't touch it. Around 7 a.m. I finally looked at my phone. There were 17 missed calls and 30 unread messages. The messages followed a predictable pattern. First, confusion, "Where are you? Are you serious right now? This isn't funny, Abigail." Then irritation, "Okay, you made your point. Come home so we can talk like adults. You can't just leave." Then a thin apology, "I'm sorry I yelled, but you can't accuse me like that. You really hurt me last night." And finally, anger, "Fine. Be dramatic. See if I care." I didn't respond to any of them. Lily made coffee and slid a mug towards me, as if she knew I'd need it before I said a word. "What happened?" she asked gently. I gave her the factual version of the story, the one I could tell without feeling too emotional. She listened without interrupting. She'd met Ethan a few times, he was always polite but distant. "You think he's cheating?" she finally asked. I thought about it. "Yes, but do I need proof? Would it change anything?" "I've already left," I said. "Even if he's not, he's already gone." Lily nodded. "Then you did the right thing." I stayed at Lily's for a week. By the third day, Ethan stopped calling and started sending emails. They were long, defensive, and carefully worded, somehow blaming me for leaving without acknowledging why I left. I didn't reply. I found a small studio apartment near the hospital. It was quiet, clean, and neutral, a place with no shared memories. 2 weeks after I left, I filed for divorce. The papers were served to Ethan at work. He called me immediately. "Are you kidding me?" His voice was sharp and panicked. "You're divorcing me over one fight?" I repeated, "One fight? Or months of disappearing? Months of treating me like I was the problem for caring." He snapped, "I didn't do anything." I asked, "Then why couldn't you come home? Why couldn't you answer your phone? Why did you lock yourself in the bathroom at 4 in the morning?" There was silence on the other end. That silence told me everything I needed to know. "If you do this," he said finally, "we're done forever." I replied, "That's kind of the point of divorce. You'll regret this when you're alone and realize you threw away our marriage over your lies." He said, "You'll regret staying more." I calmly said, "Maybe, but I'll regret staying more." I hung up and blocked his number. The divorce was finalized 4 months later. He didn't contest it. We had very little to split. He kept the apartment lease, and I took Max because he never really bonded with him. Emotionally, it took me a long time to heal. For the next 2 years, I threw myself into work. I took extra shifts, night rotations, and got training certifications. I volunteered for the schedules no one else wanted. The hospital became my whole world. It was easier than dating, easier than trying to figure out what went wrong, and easier than questioning my trust and intuition. I heard through mutual friends that Ethan moved on quickly. 3 months after the divorce, he was publicly dating someone from his office. A year later, they were engaged. I felt nothing, no anger, no jealousy. It was just a sense of course. I dated sporadically, but nothing serious. First dates always ended with the question, "So why did your marriage end?" I never had a good answer that didn't make me sound bitter or him sound cruel. So I'd say, we grew apart. By the 4th year, I was stable and comfortable. I wasn't chasing happiness or drowning in sadness. I was just in a quiet, balanced place. I wasn't looking for love, but I wasn't afraid of it either. I thought the past was behind me, but I was wrong. 4 months ago, I started seeing someone new. His name is Ryan. He's a high school art teacher. He's calm, grounded, and he listens more than he speaks. We see each other a couple of times a week and text every day. There's no rush, no pressure, and no unspoken expectations. He knows I'm divorced and the basic reason why, but he doesn't pry. Last week, we were sitting on my couch, with Max stretched out between us. He asked casually, "Do you think you'd ever get married again?" I thought about it honestly. "Maybe, with the right person, but not for a long time," I said. He smiled. "That's fair. I feel the same." It was just simple understanding, no drama or tension. Sometimes people expect closure to be a big, explosive event, but that wasn't the case for me. My closure was walking out at 4 in the morning with a duffel bag and choosing myself. It was building a life where I didn't have to constantly wonder where my partner was or if I was being lied to. 6 years later, when Ethan showed up in that exam room, I didn't fall apart. I signed the form, went back to work, and went home. I didn't forgive him, not because I'm bitter, but because forgiveness wasn't necessary for me to move on. I don't hate him. That's enough. I left a marriage that was already over and built something better for myself. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is to leave quietly when you realize you're no longer being loved.